Good afternoon, and thank you so much for tuning into this wrap session with me, Leesa Kow, Managing Director of JN Bank. This afternoon, we'll be having a conversation with a few of our young, bright, and emerging minds. They say children are the future, but the future begins today. And how we treat, encourage, protect, and nurture our children has everything to do with what they will do in the future. Very wise words of such young minds. Our JN scholars are here with us today. And as we go through this session, I'd like to remind you that for Child Month, our theme is children need our love and protection. Get involved. It doesn't matter if you're a biological mom or dad. As adults, every child is our responsibility. And so I encourage you, those online, those here in the room with me, wherever you are tuning in, and to Jamaicans on a whole, I encourage you, become the beacon of strength in a child's life today. With that said, this afternoon, I'm giving you an opportunity to get involved, albeit vicariously through this session this afternoon. But I encourage you to send your questions, comments, and good wishes for the very bright youngsters who we will be chatting with today, as well as those who will be watching this broadcast later. First, we have some brilliant budding minds who aren't just any bright young pupils. They are our very own JN scholars. Two of them will be joining us shortly. But also with us here today, we have some very wise young minds in our JN Way ambassadors. These are our wise, aspiring youth. And I'd like to introduce today, with us, we have Malika Ricketts. Malika, hi and welcome. Malika graduated with her bachelor's degree in psychology last year and was a member of our JNWay cohorts from the year 2020 to 2022. We also have with us today Danae Mills, who just this month completed her final exams for her degree in tourism and management studies. She was a member of the JNWay cohort for 2021 to 2023. And guess what? Danae is now our Chief JNWay Ambassador. Welcome, Danae. And of course, we have Joseph McLean, an international relations major and social policy minor and member of the just concluded JNWay cohort of 2022-2023. So now that I have those introductions out of the way, I would like to provide you with an opportunity to hear directly from these wise, aspiring youth that have been so proudly representing the JN brand and also just making wise examples, beautiful examples that we just could not help but to showcase them today for the children of Jamaica to see that greatness in fact does reside in youth. So welcome to our ambassadors. How are we? Awesome. It is a pleasure to have you all here today. I wanted to start our conversation with a few questions. And so firstly, I'll ask our ambassadors, let's see, tell us. I recall when I was in university, there were seasons of significant pressure and stress. Tell us, you've just concluded your degree, Malika. How was it for you?
Okay, so test, is my microphone? It's working? Okay. So for me, being an ambassador, it was a task-oriented job, and just going into university, navigating the space, not understanding much. Being a part of the program, I was able to develop that structure that I needed for myself, time management, scheduling, ensuring that goals are with school and with JNWay. So for me, that's how I was able to balance, just schedule, time management, and just adequately prepare for the month ahead.
What I can tell you is that when I was your age, the concept of time management, I had no clue what that means, but I can tell that you're already ready for the future because
Trying
that
to
is
be.
absolutely one of the most important keys to our success. We
That
live
is
in a
true.
world where everything is battling for our time and our attention. And so we really have to figure out how to manage that well. I want to hear from you, Denny.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to everybody watching. For me, ironically, the challenge was fun because I would have been a part of school pursuing my degree, but being a part of the ambassador program was fun. So these were both passions of mine, and so the time management came into play. And the more practical aspect of it, I would literally create like a spreadsheet and list out my task and what I needed to do and by when and how to get it done. And nothing is wrong with asking for help. Sometimes you require of your friends or an accountability partner. And I had fun with it. So it was pressuring at times, pursuing my degree, but it was something that I was interested in. It was my choice. And being a part of the cohorts for the Janeway ambassadors, I had friends in the group, in the cohort, so would help each other out and just assist in every way possible. So it wasn't difficult, it was fun, and it was new adventures every day.
Wow. Can you guys tell why she's our chief ambassador? So many gems rolled up in that short, spicy answer. Joseph, I'm going to come to you. But before, I really feel compelled to reiterate some of the key gems that you've just thrown out. So we heard from Malika, which you reiterated, time management. You also spoke about having a schedule, being intentional about making up a schedule and trying to follow that schedule. You said asking for help. That is such an important message to our young people today. I think we live in a society that often deifies independence and doing it alone and thinking that we look more like a superstar when we can do it on our own. But asking for help is sometimes the true gem to being the best you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. But you also said something that I've been keen in a lot, and it's a part of the advice that I've been giving to most young people that I have the blessed opportunity to mentor. Do things that you can have fun doing. And so it's such a joy for me to know that you guys serving as JN ambassadors have been able to have fun along the journey. Yes. And then the gems keep rolling. You said you made friendships along the way. What is it worth anything if along the journey, people come into your life and then you just forget about them? Some of these friendships may be the richest ones that will take you through. Thank you so much for sharing that, Denny.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.
Joseph, what would you add?
All right. So as mentioned, the university experience that I had as an ambassador was kind of difficult because I think Denny and probably Amelia would have been in a year where they had face-to-face learning. I never had face-to-face learning.
Oh,
so I
boy.
came from COVID.
Oh,
and I
boy.
really did not understanding anything. But what I do understand is that you can apply yourself. So what I applied was a lifestyle approach. Being an ambassador is about, embodying it in your everyday activities. So the supervisors at the different branches, my friends, I would talk to them. Even when I go to class, I would just pop on my JNOA shirt and they're saying like, who are you? And I'm saying, I'm ambassador. How do you become an ambassador? You apply online and it's just a lifestyle. So that's just one way of just understanding and just balancing it in that regard.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Joseph. I think that some of the responsibilities that you guys would have taken on are so noble and humble. And on behalf of the JN family and all of the youth of Jamaica who have been blessed by their interactions with you, I really want to say thank you, because you guys are a testament to what we sought to achieve in having you young, wise, aspiring youth share. Tell me, you've shared some gems around how you managed school. You mentioned, Joseph, your interactions with the JN family, whether it be our supervisors in our branches. No doubt you would have been in touch with some of our team members in our marketing department and other areas in the organization. What are some of the tools that you would have learned through those interactions that you've been able to apply in some way, whether it be in doing your education, in getting your degrees, whether it be at home, managing relationships with families. I am sure that the scheduling and, having a dedicated and intentional plan all ladders up into some of what you would have, been trained on in some of the exposures that we would have given you. But is there any other tools that you would say stand out in your mind as tools that you find really are helping you just to navigate life?
You want to go first?
All right. All right. So is it a for gentlemen? There you go. All right. So the first tool I believe would be, the ability to take instruction. When I was a part of the JA program, a lot of persons would just, live in their ego. But the ability to learn and be mentored was something I really appreciate. Not just only from our coordinators, but from the JNA family as well. So they
Right.
teach us stuff. The next thing I would look at is the communication skills that you learn. There was this particular experience that just lives in my mind every day. And it lives in my mind because I knew I lost the trust of my coordinators, but then it was such a nice experience because it taught me to improve on myself. There was a point where they invited me to go to an activation, but there was so much happening in my life that I forgot about the date. And then I get a call at 10:30 because the event was from 9 to 12. And then when I got the call, what happened is that one said that Joseph, you're not available and there are no ambassadors there. And I was like, shoot, because I never thought in my mind to communicate before. So the program really taught me that you have to communicate, even if there's something that is truly happening in your life, you have to communicate. And that's a skill that I believe that many people should, live with and learn to appreciate. So these are the some other things.
That is a very important one, communication. They say all relationships, they cannot survive without communication. Yeah. What about you? Yeah, any other?
I do pick up on the communication. I learned a lot in terms of advanced teamwork because definitely in university, you have to learn teamwork.
Right.
But teamwork in terms of the corporate space, teamwork in better understanding people in the working environment. I got my foot into understanding more of what corporate is and customer service. JN Bank, I believe, and I know a lot of persons can relate, we have the #1 customer service and customer service reps. So I learned a lot in terms of customer service and understanding people, the difference between sympathy and empathy, because we're one family, we're the JN family.
Right.
And when it comes on to just forming bonds, sometimes it's more than work. And I got a little bit of experience also in JN Foundation. So when it comes on to community service and altruism, I did build a lot of my skills through my experience as an ambassador, being a part of the JN group.
Awesome. That is some powerful sharing. I know you're bursting to add something, so go ahead.
Really and truly, I want to echo the sentiments of both Joseph and Denny because really communication is an asset from the Janeway program. Going in, you are always taught to ensure that you're updating persons, you're communicating with your team members, so everyone is adequately preparing for a common goal. And that was very important. So going into the working space was a bit easier for me because I would have already mastered some of these skills being a part of the program. I also want to talk about dedication. The program is not a walk in the park, there are months when, you're not sure if you're going to meet your target and you reach out to a friend, so they help you, the teamwork, the synergy helps you to be more dedicated. So it's not just you in the program, as I would always say, it's a team. And that's what made it so wholesome at the end of the day for me. So
that is some powerful sharing.
one way and the
Yes.
JN way
And indirectly, you've also shared we are human. Sometimes things happen, but I would like to applaud you, Joseph, because you said you learned from the experience. You didn't treat with or was so disappointed by the trust that was lost because of that mistake, but you took it and you learned from it and you've grown from it and you've continued to be impactful in touching the lives of your fellow youngsters. That is really powerful sharing. Very, very powerful sharing. Thanks for that. I know that we're going to be joined shortly by our JN scholars. I haven't gotten the cue to say we're ready for them. So I will ask the ambassadors to share with me. So I said earlier, our theme for this month, children need our love and protection, get involved. What are your thoughts on that theme for Child Month? Who's gonna
take the lead on
start?
this? So, as you said earlier, children are the future, and their developmental stages are so important. And we have to ensure that as adults, those persons who are responsible for grooming them and preparing them for the world, that we're giving them that love and support that they need. So patience and communication is very important for our children growing up, because they come into this world, they don't know a thing. We are the persons who are teaching them, helping them, guiding them. It's so important. So Yeah.
Yeah. And Joseph, I'm sure you have children in your family, children in your neighborhood. What are some of the ways in which you show love and protection for the children that you come in contact with?
All right, so one of the primary ways in which I would do that is just look at protection and love in different and nuanced ways. So for example, we just protect our children probably with our hands. As a male figure in my family, they would just always want me to just protect them, walk with their hands, ensure that nobody touches
Holding the
them.
hand.
But
Yeah.
protection embodies more than that. It's all about protecting their minds as well, protecting their emotional integrity, to let them know that, hey, it's not good to feel alone. I'm always here for you. I'm always there when you need somebody to talk to. So I look at protection in that way, and that's how I would, take care of my nieces. I don't have any sisters who are younger than me, but that's just some of the ways in which I would talk to my younger nephews and my nieces. So that's one of the ways.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I certainly agree in terms of identifying the different types of protection, because sometimes we may think it's just one way, physical. But protecting their minds, guarding them, helping them to be able to discern the things that they should be exposing themselves to. That is just so important. Tenny,
Yes.
do you have any siblings? Any
I
younger
do.
siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister, Janelle. Hi, Janelle. I cannot disagree with the psychology major, right?
Yeah.
And David went on to protection, and I want to explore the different ways of showing love. And showing love to children, for me personally, I think one way we can do that is to listen to them. They have a lot to say. They think a lot. They are so adventurous, and so much is happening in their minds. So as much as we can listen to them, I think it's very important. And also to be role models, to guide them, guide their love, guide their energy, because they're so energetic. They want to do a lot of things. They want to explore a lot of things. I remember growing up, one day I want to be a chef. The next day I want to be a fashion designer, but having that guidance in my young days and coming up, I think as young adults, young at heart or young underage people, we should also ensure that we're guiding them and just being there, listening to them, protecting them, their minds. Sometimes the world can be so much.
Yeah.
So as much as we can keep them innocent and in their own little world, we should protect them and love them.
Wow, that is powerful. Denny, I don't know if you know how profound what you've just said is, because there's an old saying in Jamaican culture that children must be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And I really believe that a lot of the ills that we face today, societally and culturally, comes from that concept of having not allowed our children the opportunity to be listened to understand what it means to be listened to, and to express themselves. And many adults today struggle with how to express themselves, because they would have grown up in an era where they were told that as children, they should be seen and not heard. So I think that's really important, but I love the way that you connected to them feeling loved, because we all know that by the time they're able to utter a word, they just speak, right? Yeah, the young, they just speak and speak and speak. And we're so excited when they're finally speaking, but then we tend to dumb them down after a while. So that does have an impact on how they feel and, how they feel loved. And then we turn around later on in our years and in relationships, one of the biggest complaints that people have in relationships is we don't feel listened to. Yeah. So it comes all together. You guys are really very wise, very, very wise. So we have some more questions that I want to ask, but I think we will go to a break now so that we can introduce our JN scholars who will be joining us here shortly. So we'll be right back. Questions to us in the chat. Any comments that you want to direct to any of our young, aspiring, wise youth ambassadors? And I'm about to introduce that now joining us on set is two of our very special youth for this country. They are Ayana Blake, our 2021 JN Bank County Scholar, who is currently a track star student at the Immaculate Conception High School. Welcome, Ayana.
Thank you.
And before I introduce our next special guest, I must take a moment on behalf of JN Bank and JN Group to express our condolences to the entire Immaculate cohort, current and past students, on the passing of their beloved Sister Maureen Clare, who has really been a pillar of strength to the nation of Jamaica. Many of our wise young leaders that we see would have grown up under her tutelage. So our condolences to you. Also joining us on set is Olivia Logan, our 2022 JN Bank Scholar for the County of Surrey. And she, as we can see, is now a very proud student of Campion College. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So earlier we had some conversations with our JN Way ambassadors talking about the theme that we have for this month. You know, that children need our love and protection, and inviting those who are listening online, but all of us to get involved in sharing that love and protection. But before I ask for your comments and your thoughts on that theme, I just wanted to hear from you. And so I'm going to start with you, Ayana. Tell us, what achievement in your school journey are you most proud of and why?
Well, I'm most proud of myself for making the honor roll last year in grade 7. You know, it wasn't easy, you know, the transition from prep school to high school. So I was very proud of myself for making the honor roll last year.
You have made the honor roll. Congratulations. And we're proud of you for that. Olivia,
Okay.
what would you like to share?
Likewise, Ayana, this term, I also moved up in my class, coming from second honors to first honors, and I'm really happy about that. I put in a little more extra work to get there, so hard work pays off, and I'm glad about it.
Whoa. I am just so overwhelmed. My heart is full based on the feedback that we're getting from the team here. That is like some really powerful thing. She says, hard work pays off. How great is that? Let me ask you, you said hard work pays off, but what are some of the techniques that you use along the way as you're facing all of this hard work?
Okay, so one thing, I have to try to like stay calm, and you know, it's gonna get tough sometimes, and sometimes like I feel really down. But for me, I'm a Christian, and I just have to believe in God and just trust Him and just like try to hold on, because it was really hard, especially because, you know, just my first year in high school, and it's just kind of a hard transition for me, like trying to like make friends and stuff. But I just had to stay focused and try my hardest to just like do what I have to do.
Settling into high school, and the transition, new friends, and just staying focused. Wow, that is very, very inspiring. What about you, Ayana? What are some of the techniques that you use to just keep you going along the journey?
Well, she pretty much the same thing that Olivia said, and also to stay patient. And you know, you just have to be patient with yourself, because things take time, and if you rush it, then you probably won't have a good outcome. And so you just have to trust the process and
trust the process. You hear this? See your colleagues behind you giving you a clap. You guys are really, really budding Janeway ambassadors, right? So we're talking about on the Child Month, you know, the importance of loving and protecting our children. And you guys are clearly very loved by family. What are some of the ways in which you feel most loved? When your parents are encouraging you, whether it be by your teachers, your parents, your siblings, what are some of the things that you've experienced that make you feel either loved and you know you're really loved, or make you feel protected and you know that no matter how tough things get, you're gonna be all right?
Okay, so for me, like in the mornings, like before school, my mom would always encourage me, and you know, like these simple things just like give you a boost for your day. Like it's just really nice and comforting when she's like, okay, have a good day at school. Remember to do your best, be the best you. So I find it really encouraging and just a nice like feeling like she loves me and that she wants the best for me. So I think it's really good for like parents to like encourage your children, like even if you're angry at them, just to be calm and patient with them and just take time with them, because you were a child once, and I know that
You didn't like when your parents did that to you, so just be a little bit more mindful.
Why, thank you, Olivia. We heard the call to action. So the theme ends with get involved. And Olivia has just shared with us ways in which we can get involved. Ayana, I know you want to share with us.
Oh, can you repeat the question?
How are some of the ways, what are some of the things that you've experienced, whether it be with your parents, your teachers, I don't know if you have siblings, friends that make you really feel loved or protected, or both?
Oh, okay. Well, as you mentioned before, I do track, and sometimes I probably won't be satisfied with my race, and so my parents will, encourage me and say, oh, it's not the end of the world, and you always have the next race, and don't beat yourself up. It's just one race, and this won't determine, this won't
Determine
determine
the end.
yes, not the end.
So the words of encouragement, well, that certainly is one way that I would like to invite all of us to get involved in really doing our part in loving and protecting our young people, encouraging them, words of encouragement. And guys, I think that's really, really important because we live in a society where sometimes the terrible words that we hear, and then worse because of social media. We're all on social media and people can be so unkind on social media. So it's important that we filter. Remember, we spoke earlier about guarding their minds, protecting them from some of the messages that they hear on social media. But I'm going to put the same question to our ambassadors. Tell us one way, each of you, in which you feel really loved, regardless of who it is in your sphere, but that there's just this go-to person, something that they do, something that they say, maybe just being in their presence that you find really make you have a sense of, yes, I'm loved, I belong, I feel protected. No matter how the going get tough, we are gonna keep going. What's that for you, Joseph?
All right, so it's kind of touchy for me because like most males, in rural communities, in families where I believe they are grown touch deprived, were not taught properly.
That is a
And
fact.
perhaps in my case, I was grown up a father, and my mother was always working, and I lived in a separated household.
Right.
So I never had siblings to help me. So the person who normally helped me were my teachers. And it felt weird because I would feel as if I don't know if I accept it. So
Right.
I would just say that the love that I would have received was similar to Olivia and Ayana. It would be the words of encouragement, doing well in classes and so they would encourage you to always do well. So that's how I felt the love growing up. And even now, my lecturers would encourage me to do best. And my coordinators, Diamond and Daniel, they would always encourage you that you can do better. So always aim to do better. So those are the ways in which I would have felt.
Really powerful, those words of encouragement. Malika.
So from it's hard to speak of one way because I grew up with both parents, so I received two different types of love. From my mother, she provided for me in every way financially and providing most of my needs and all of my needs and most of my wants. Then I have daddy who provides that emotional security. And I believe that one way of loving a child is not the only way. They need all assets of love. So emotional security, physical touch, giving them a support, as Olivia said, encourage them, make them feel like they have the potential to succeed in life as well. Because outside of the immediate family, there's school, there's church, they have to learn to function in those different segments.
Right.
So they're supporting them is so important.
Thank you for that, Malika.
All right. As for me, I can really relate to the words of affirmation and the hugs. I'm not short of hugs. I'm a hugger myself. And when it comes on to the words of affirmations, in even ways of my parents praying for me, if they don't tell me, they're telling God. And you just feel that blessing and that aura of love around you. Support. They are support. I know that right now, if they are not on the live, they will be watching it later. They don't miss a graduation. They don't miss an event, any form of anything that they can just cheer me on. They're there. I have my friends and families who, if I'm feeling down, I know that I have people I can reach to and they can help me in figuring it out. And there are moments where you don't know what to do and you don't know, sometimes you feel like you don't know who to call to, but I know that I have people in my corner that will help me with school, help me with work, help me with personal life. And in growing up and becoming an adult, there's just so much happening. And I'm really grateful for them to help me in going about the different journeys.
Right. Well, there's no doubt about what you just said, Denny, because earlier to our online audience, when our young scholars came in, one of them was really nervous. I won't say which one because they're both shining stars now. And just instinctively, Denny just started to flow with words of affirmation. And I wondered for a moment whether she knew her until she asked a question, which proved to me that she did not know her, but it was just so easy for that love to, to just flow out and let her know that it's gonna be fine. You guys have actually given quite a mouthful of advice. First of all, we spoke about different ways of feeling love. We spoke about the words of affirmation. And I'm sure some of our online listeners, some of you may have heard of the 5 love languages. Not everybody feels loved in the same way, but interestingly, all of you in some way kind of associated with and appreciated those words of encouragement and those words of affirmation. So there's a little bit of a hint in that, guys. Our young people are telling us that matters to them. And then you spoke about the physical touch, the hug. I think it is so important. I believe in recent times that doctors actually believe that when babies are just born, by having that skin-to-skin interaction between a mother and now even a father, it doesn't only have to be the mother, does so much for the formative impressions on those babies' minds, and their actual brain formation is thought to evolve in such a more positive manner when that is there. So what I love about the fact is that though you did not feel the physical, the hugging at home, there was somebody else in the community, a teacher, who may have been able to let you know that sometimes hugging is really just to, encourage you. Of course, in this day and age, we have to be careful with the touching and not invading people's personal spaces. So I think we should be very wise about how we embrace that form of love. But speaking life into your children, speaking life into our youth, speaking life into each other. The interaction between Olivia and Ayana, I should just ask, do you guys know each other before today? And just as they sat there, they just started to engage with each other in a way that was just littered with love, And so that is what we want to nurture, people. That is what we want to keep going, that loving natural spirit that says, as children, we are here to love. We want to be loved. I'm gonna ask our online audience to drop your comments in the chat. Let me check to see if we have any questions coming through. Okay, we do actually have one. So we have a question to our scholars. So Ayana and Olivia, listen up. And this question is coming from Janelle Cole. What is your message to children in Jamaica and around the world? Wow, that's big. That's a big question. Let me read it again. What is your message to children in Jamaica and around the world? Okay. Olivia, I saw your hand popping. Do you want to go?
Okay. So my word of advice is that to never give up. Actually, it might seem like really hard, like especially like for the children in Jamaica, you're probably doing PEP and you might seem like it's hard and you struggle. And my dad usually tells me that, all of this work right now and you might be feeling so sad now, but in the future, it will always pay off and it will always you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why was I wearing like so much back then? And now I'm just so good, So just don't give up. Always work hard. Do not don't focus on anything that's not going to benefit you in the future. And surround yourself with people who are going to help you and uplift you. If you don't feel comfortable with the friends that you're around, you always can try to speak to an adults about it, or just try to get help and just be wise, be focused, and just never give up.
Never give up. That is a powerful message, very powerful message. And I think very apt, especially at this time in our history. We hear so much about suicide, we hear about children suffering from depression, and some of this obviously would have, evolved from our experience with the pandemic. But I think that's a very, very profound message, Olivia. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
the Jane family joins in pleading that message to the children of Jamaica. Never give up. Ask for help, and we're help. At Jane Bank, we'll help you find a way, right? I had to put that one in. So we have another question, and I'm going to put this on to you, Ayana. This question is coming from Garvin Grandison, another young bright star of JN. And his question to both scholars and ambassadors: what are some of the ways you have fun while working towards your more serious goals? I think Ayana is going to tell us that one very quickly.
Okay.
What are some of the ways you have fun, Ayana?
Well, mostly I interact with my friends, I feel like being around my friends, they make me forget about, anything that I'm like schoolwork or anything that's, I'm having problems with. And just to surround yourself with people who love you and who you love. I mean, it's very comforting, and yeah.
So friends and surrounding yourself with people who you love and who loves you. Awesome, awesome. Malika, you're gonna answer that question for us.
Okay, repeat the question.
What are some of the ways that you have fun while working towards the serious goals that you have in life?
Okay, so I look at what I do and I try to think of different ways I can make it my own way, unique way. So I'm going to go back to Jamie because that's where we are now. So I'm being a part of the program. Coming out of the pandemic era, we had to find creative ways of, meeting our goals, our targets, etc. Engaging on social media is a way. Yes, it can be negative in some aspects, but you have to, put your foot forward and make it your own, so being creative in that sense is very important, so, yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Denny, you're gonna go next?
Sure, no problem. I want to say though, the young ladies, they're
I know,
sounding
right?
so intelligent. But for
Thank
me,
you.
in terms of having fun, if you know me, I am the fun one. I'm going to take that. And when it comes on to having fun in terms of getting the serious work done, one of the ways I have been doing it, especially with school, is changing my environment. So with COVID, you're more stuck in your little room doing your classes. But if you can go out a bit, change your space, change the environment itself in getting the work done. And another way is also meeting up with friends. So if you have a friend or a colleague, a co-worker who you're somewhat having some connectivity in terms of the task, you can meet up to get the job done and celebrate the work. Celebrate the work. If you can take a drink, if you can go out with your friends and, chill a bit for getting just that little part completed, celebrate it. It means a lot and it's just another step. And when the big thing is finished, you can relax and chill and just celebrate yourself and celebrate doing what you are doing and embrace it.
Before I take your answer to that question, Joseph, I have to ask because there's a consistent theme that's coming through in most of the answers from the scholars as well as from the ambassadors, and it's the concept of community. You're all talking a lot about being with your friends. You're talking about asking for help. You're talking about teamwork. And I know culturally, we have been evolving in a way that society kind of says individualism and independence was the way to go. And I'm not sure if this transition with you young people who are just embracing and pressing in to be in community with people who you love and people who love you, is that something that you felt you would have shared prior to COVID? Or is this having gone through that pandemic experience? Is it as a result of that you're recognizing how important that community is to you?
I want to share on that. I think I know we're cultured as Jamaicans to believe one man is not an island and, one man doesn't stand alone. And no matter the economical status, no matter where we are in the world, we're just, we look about with Talawa and we'll come together and we form such a love and a bond. And we were cultured and nurtured as that to be your brother's keeper, to help when you can, to give back when you can. So when it comes on to community, whether it be in your home, in your school, we have always just found our place, found our people, connected, and being in the JN space, it just reiterates it. Jane family, we'll help you find a way. We're one family. We have our scholars, no matter the age group, no matter where you are in the world, we're connected and we're one, out of many.
That's right. That's right. That's what Jane is about, right? Enriching lives and building communities. And I'm just always so delighted when I reflect on the community of wise, aspiring youth that's out there in our nation, making a difference for Jamaica. And of course, seeing how willing you guys are to pour into our youngsters, our scholars, that also is such a great blessing and great honor to the reason that JN exists. Yes. So we really thank you for your contribution and ask you to keep up that good work. I think I should also mention that these two young scholars shared with us earlier their recent accomplishments of having hit the honor roll and be moving from second to first class honors. And that is very commendable. I want to congratulate you guys on behalf of the entire JN family. And just say, keep up the good work, keep up the good work. Obviously, you're following your own advice, right? You're staying focused. You're hanging out with people who will keep you feeling loved and protected, and you're not giving up. I think that is such a powerful and important message. We have a comment in the chat from Denton Donkey saying, the future looks bright. Oh, Denton, I could not agree with you more. I am sitting here almost trying, really trying not to get too emotional, because as I'm listening to the young people, I have this deep sense of it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And there's a lot happening around us, but it is going to be okay. So before we get to any other questions, of course, I'll keep looking online team. Please send your questions through, any comments that you want to direct to any of our scholars. Feel free so to do. I have one more question that I have to throw out. And Joseph, I'm going to start with you because I don't think I took your answer to the last one. So you'll take this one. If we were to give some advice to our adults today, what would you encourage adults to do differently to ensure that our children, the children of Jamaica, are loved and protected?
I believe that the process starts with having a listening ear, taking the time out to listen to them. And then secondly, it would be having the willingness to learn from others. Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter how poor you are. For example, this young man by the name of Akiv, I think he's the guy that he owns a school in a community, and he's changing lives. He considers himself a principal. And we have seen where politicians, we have seen where corporate entities have been helping him.
Right.
So my advice is that we have to show the young leaders of tomorrow this type of love and appreciation for their efforts. They're young, they are pregnant with ideas, and they just want to share it with the world. So I just believe having the willingness to learn from them, and by learning, we're able to adapt better for the future. So that's just my little advice.
Coming back to what we heard earlier about one of the ways in which they feel love, but you're also imploring us to listen. You want to be listened to. So JN family, Jamaica, you heard it right here. Our young people are asking us to listen to them, So, Malika, any advice that you want to share with our adults?
So to the adults, I want to say, and I'm going to speak specifically to our Caribbean context, patience and communication with our children. Mm-hmm. And as I said before, our children come into this world, they don't know much. We're supposed to be guiding and protecting them. So being patient with them, listening to them, as Joseph said, because some of our children, they're going through things that we don't know about. And if we take time out to listen to them, maybe we'll understand something from them. And in that regard, we'll be able to show up more for them. So a little love goes a long way.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think I need to welcome on set. Is this Joelle Lee? Yes, I could recognize Joelle Lee. Welcome. Audience, let me to welcome Joelle Lee. She's our 2021 scholar for the parish of St. Andrew, and Joelle is at Arden High. Joelle, welcome. It's our pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you.
We've been talking a little bit about this month's celebration, Child Month. And of course, you have had the blessing of being amongst many of our Gen scholars, and we wanted to hear from you about your thoughts on our theme for the month, which is that children, we're imploring people to ensure that our children feel loved and protected. Do you want to share anything with us about how you feel loved and protected? What are some of the things that your family does? What are some of the things that your siblings do, if you have siblings, or your teachers or your friends? What would you say are some of the things that make you feel loved?
Well,
Don't be shy.
A lot of things makes me feel of like just consider my thought and feeling. If I'm sad, just
Sometimes you feel sad.
yeah, sometimes I feel sad and like I don't normally show that I'm sad. I like to outside people think I'm happy. I keep my feelings locked up inside. So most of
So Joelle, it sounds like you would agree with the comments that were made earlier, that if we listened to you more, if we took some more time to come and talk to you so that you could share those feelings that you have locked up, then maybe that would help you to feel a little bit more love.
yeah.
Well, certainly in this room, I can tell you before you leave here today, we're all going to be loving on you big time. Okay, so get ready to share. What would you say is, and this question is actually from Sabrina Simpson, one of our members online, and she wants to know, what is the hardest thing about being a child? Ooh, these youngsters don't feel like children to me, to be honest with you, but I know they are. So anyone can take that question.
the hardest thing about being a child, I definitely think it's school. You know, just being in school, and a lot of times the workload is very heavy, and you don't just being. Okay, how do I put this?
The expectations that we have of you.
Yes,
Yes,
also that.
the
There's
pressure,
a lot of pressure and expectations, and sometimes you just feel overwhelmed with everything going on. And I feel like a lot of children are going through things that they don't deserve, and they're suffering with things that they really don't deserve. And like as you mentioned earlier about the rate of suicide and depression, and many children are going through that because of school, and you know, yes, they probably might not have like family to give them the words of affirmation or even the hugs, and so yes.
Yeah, you guys are really ministering to us adult populations, and I do hope that my fellow adults are joining me in really internalizing what our young people are telling us. Earlier, Olivia asked the children of Jamaica, she said her message to the children of Jamaica and the children of the world is never give up. And I'm not sure if you cued into the fact that she spoke about, you know, those of you going through PEP. And here it is now that Ayana is reminding us that school and the pressure that we put on them when they're going through these important exams often makes them feel somewhat overwhelmed. So we really need to manage that. And I will make a commitment to you on behalf of all the Jane mothers, all of the Jane fathers, the entire Jane family, on behalf of the nation. I'm going to be bold and ask Jamaica to join me in making a commitment to our children that we will listen more, pressure less. Yes. We understand that as children, we need to motivate and urge, but we're going to do it in a way that does not lead to you feeling overwhelmed. You're going to have patience with us sometimes, right? Because we don't target the child all the time.
everyone's human.
Yes. Anything else to add? We're going to wrap shortly. So anyone wants to add any words of wisdom, whether to the adults, whether to the children, or just share anything that you hoped you would have been able to say today and you haven't said it yet? We're going to start with our ambassadors and then come back to our scholars, okay? So Denny, I'll start with you.
Sure, no problem. When you mentioned giving a word of advice to the parents, guardians, or adults overall when it comes on to children and showing them love and protection, I think we should be thoughtfully soft. I don't want to use only soft, thoughtfully soft. There's not a manual in being a parent. There's not a manual in being an adult. And I think we should be thoughtful of the fact that we were once a child, you know, as I think it was Olivia that said it, yes. And, you know, try to give a lot to them, to help them in figuring out themselves, help them in figuring out their goals and what they want to do and what they want to become. You know, as you can see, they're ambitious. They know the expectations of themselves, and they too have expectations of us. They expect us to love them and to protect them. So I really think it's important for us to be there for them and be thoughtfully soft and to help them along the way.
Yes, that's very important, Denny. And I'll just add to what you said. They also know how they want to be loved. They want those words of encouragement. They want to be listened to. So, that gives us a lot of clues as to how to get this right. We have no excuse. Joseph, what
All
would you
right.
add?
So my final advice is just we need to understand the importance of family in ensuring that our children are loved and protected properly. They try to find love elsewhere, and that type of love is sometimes not healthy. And then it just translates into a bigger problem. And we know the problems. They're always there coming up on the news. So we need to fix that issue where we do more family testing. The government need to invest in areas of concern such as this, going into communities where they know there's a problem and get the children out of there. Sometimes it's going to be hard because of the procedure, but we have to ensure that the students, if they're not loved properly at home, at least allow them to be loved properly elsewhere. So we have a more healthy community, as you have mentioned, going forward.
Thank you.
And can I add to that? I think it's also important in this modern way, in this modern world, to explore different parenting styles. We're used to probably a little bit of the touch and, just telling them what to do and not necessarily listening. But I think the different ministries, the family ministry within the government and within the church, we can look into teaching parents to sometimes, try to find different ways of discipline, try to find different ways of teaching. And we can definitely look into the untraditional ways of really connecting and being there with our kids and forming that bond, that family.
Breaking away from that one size fit all approach of
that is correct. Yeah, I agree.
Melissa?
So to the adults, I want to say be better role models. Set examples for our children, because children mirror the behavior that they see in front of them in their environment. So if we work on ourselves as adults, when we're ready to be women, when we're ready to be childbearers, we are mentally and physically prepared for it enough to raise a healthy young child, ready for the working world or going into the adulthood. So, and for children now, take your time with life, enjoy your childhood. Like, I wish I was a child now, right? Take away the responsibilities from me. And, school is hard, but still push forward. University is harder. So just try enjoy that school. Not scaring you, but enjoy it for the most part.
Right.
There's always fun in the lessons that we learn in life. So make the best of school in every aspect. Yeah.
That is really great advice. And I think earlier, before you guys came on set, that's the scholars or ambassadors shared a lot about having fun along the journey. So I was quite pleased, Ayana, when you spoke about that, you spend time with your friends, make time to have a little bit of a breather from the stress and, just make sure you have some fun. What do you do for fun, Jolie?
I'm also like to
You put the mic up.
I'm also like to read and draw and spend time with my friends. And you might not believe it, but I like to listen to music.
I believe it. That's one of my favorite pastimes too. Listening to music and singing, right?
Yeah,
Sing along,
I might not know how to sing, but I will sing.
Sure. I can identify with that. I've always said there is one thing in life that I don't do well. It's sing, but I love to sing, so I sing anyway. Thank you for sharing that, Olivia.
Okay,
anything you want to say?
my last
Right, Sir Harris.
my last piece of
lodged
advice to
the-
the parents, I would say
the invoice that you had in for
spend time
13.
with your children, like go out with them, have fun with them, because by a blink of an eye, they're going to be adults and you're probably not going to get as much time to spend time with them. And you're going to be like, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. So I'm just saying, cherish the time that you have with your children, because, things can happen really quickly. You might have them today and don't have them tomorrow, God forbid. So I'm just saying, love them, spend time with them, protect them, and just cherish the moments that you have with them.
There's someone who commented here, Joseph, I have to give it to you. When you spoke earlier, the comment came in and it says, true to Joseph. speaking facts. So there are some people agreeing with you. In fact, there are two messages. Another one says, awesome, Joseph. So Joseph, your message to the adults have been received, well received.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Olivia. Ayana, what's your closing comment?
Well, I mean, the scholars and the ambassadors have basically covered a lot. There's nothing really more
I
to
know,
add.
right? I'm gonna do what you've just done because I think they're expecting me to summarize all of what was just said, but there was just so much wisdom, so many gems. I think that obviously there were some consistencies in the themes. The don't give up is just staying with me. The listening to your children, that is staying with me. I think there's a lot that has been said, and I think our theme is very apt. Love our children and let them feel protected, and everything else that was said ladders up into that theme. So ambassadors and scholars, I want to thank you so much for a fantastic conversation. I was really moved by a lot of what was said here today. You guys are brilliant. You are articulate in your responses, and I am sure our online audience feels the same way. I really want to encourage you all to keep striving to be the best you. Keep striving, never give up. I'm giving you back your own advice. Never give up and do your part. We're talking about the need to love and protect children, but children can also love and protect children. So listen to each other and play the same advice you're sending to the parents and the adults, which we take and we're going to act on. You can live it too, right?
Yes.
They are also role models, and you guys are the future. I think that before we end, true to Jane style, we do have a few presentations that we would like to make to some of our ambassadors and our scholars here. So I'm going to invite my youth banking team to join me and do the honors. Welcome them. Virtually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And of course, to Jolie, Ayana, and Olivia, you do know that I am looking forward to you becoming ambassadors as well in the future, right? And you have these mentors behind you that I know they will be ensuring that you follow suit. I'm wishing you all the best, guys. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Keep up the greatness. Jamaica's future is so much brighter because of you, each of you. And it really warms my heart because, one of you alluded to earlier, there's a lot happening around us. And not all of our young people are on a similar path as you. Some have gotten distracted. Some are suffering with things that cause them to be distracted. But I think that whenever we can influence our little space, our own sphere. So when you go to work, when you go to school in your own homes, be that example that you're inviting our parents and our adults to be. We certainly take your words here today very, very seriously. And we thank you. We love you. We love you. And we will do our very best to continue to protect you in any way that we can. On behalf of the JN family, on behalf of JN Bank, on behalf of Jamaica, we thank you for being wonderful children, wonderful human beings. And it's a wrap. Thanks for joining me. And we look forward to chatting another time.